I just wanted to post something because I'm seeing a lot of England flags around lately, and while I'll always like back people up for having pride in their identity, I can understand people's anger that their lives aren't moving forward to the rate they feel they should. It does kind of feel like you've all gathered together to fight the wrong fight. So I would like to just address some of the things that I'm regularly hearing and just give a take on what it is instead. So the first one I always hear is, what about our own? Now, anyone who's ever gone through like the likes of a family court process or any sort of process will tell you, not one person gives a fuck about our own. Alright, I was going through fucking hell trying to talk to people, and because I wasn't coming out with racist bile, no one gave a shit. Okay? So there's a couple of things to consider here. So people are always saying they're robbing our jobs. That's a myth. So the idea of migration is to fill in labour gaps that Brits either aren't qualified to do, such as like doctors or whatever, or won't do, being like, picking fruit and veg, long hours, back breaking, for buttons. It's an overlooked thing in Britishness that we overlook the people that we exploit. So unless anyone's going to PhD up or work long hours, back-breaking labour for buttons, they're not robbing your job, okay? Housing prices is another one. So property developers purposefully make projects take longer. It keeps demand up and supply down, which means their end product ends up being worth more. This contributes to the housing crisis. That has got fuck all to do with immigrants, okay? There's also a war on dads in this and every country. So, as it stands, right, whether you're working or not in Britain, your housing needs are your housing needs are basically assessed by who you can prove lives there. So if you split with your partner, now most dads will do the honourable thing. They'll leave the kids' mum with everything we've worked for during that relationship, all the benefits to make sure the kids aren't going without. And we do that not realising that we're going to get thrown under the bus. So the way child residency is measured is by who claims the child benefit. So if your kid's mother is doing a brilliant job looking after your kids, it just hasn't worked out between yous, you're not going to put your kid's mum and your kid's stability at risk. That said, you're still legally responsible to provide housing for your children. So I'll give you a quick breakdown of the law, and then if someone can point out to me how this has got anything to do with immigrants, I would be interested. Okay? So, when it comes to children, the Children Act of 1989 is very much up there. So Section 1 tells us that the needs of the child are paramount. Nothing can be legally put before a child's needs. Section 3 covers your PR. Both parents have that. And that is like a legal responsibility to meet your child's needs under Maslow's, which would include housing. So Maslow's would be physiological. Maslow's covers needs, it categorises them into physiological, safety and security, love and belonging, self-esteem and self-actualisation. So when we're told that we need to meet children's needs, it's facilitating that. Self-actualisation being the child's own responsibility because that's who they become. So fathers have to attain PR, which is Section 4, but when you go on the birth certificate or if you do your DNA test or you have to go the long way round or something, that's then met, so both parents end up back on Section 3, which means we've got equal legal standing. And there's also section 11, which is your child's right to presume that you're involved in their lives and that their needs will be met when they come and see you, if they want to. So parents are legally responsible for the children, but they don't actually have a legal right to see them. It's your child who has the right to see you. Now, what tends to happen is, once the parents split up, the children will get too big for the dad's flat. And this happens a lot, you know what I mean? I can pretty much say what anyone's going to argue about next. I've been at this so long. So once the kids are too big for the flat, you're then in a position where you'd have to ask for help to move. Even if you're working, do base what you're going to need on what will happen if you lose your job. This ends up costing a lot of careers where dads are having to fight for sufficient accommodation, because when social services give you that, you then move on to your housing provider and they say that's just policy. So housing policy already is disregarding the Children Act, basically. Once I won my case, I uploaded my court order to UC, which I'm obliged to do to update my circumstances. I'm not contesting child elements, housing separate. So I was told only the one who claims the benefit is allowed to do that, which breaks Article 8 of the Human Rights Act. Basically your right to privacy of family life, but it also breaks Section 19 of the Equality Act, indirect discrimination. Not only does it assume all parents are female, it also assumes only one parent provides housing when both are legally obliged to do so. So I am currently taking steps to challenge this because I've got, the sufficient evidence to do it. But all the way through fighting that, and that took me 5 years to fight, all the way through it, anytime I wanted to try and confide in anyone, it was what about immigrants, right? That's got fuck all to do with immigrants. Our social policy has got fuck all to do with immigrants. It's not even cheaper the way we do it either. We do it based on a thing of, but we can't afford to supplement the housing for both parents. Well, if you can't afford £75 a month bedroom tax, how the fuck are you affording repeat social services interventions, lost careers, repeat family court appearances, legal aid, all these extra things that we have to pay out just to be an expensive way to have a pop at someone's ex for her, to then have the cheek, after intimidating fathers, lying to both parents to keep them fighting until the end hope game being that the dad is going to fucking just think, swerve this. You know what I mean? Out of fear, exhaustion, depression. It's the leading cause of male homelessness, suicide, mental illness. Like, how can you make an impact on men's mental health if you ignore their primal bonds? It's ridiculous, okay? So all these people saying, what about our own? It would actually be nice if you gave a fuck about our own. 52% of the country imposing an economic sanction on ourselves because you couldn't be arsed finding out that it's more to do with the UN and Geneva Convention, why it is we take in migrants. You just didn't care. You just turned up at the EU, which is basically like turning up at Asda with your passport, okay? So I appreciate that you're making a statement, but until you actually give a fuck about anyone outside your own homes, it's hollow. It's just an excuse. Alright? Try actually looking at our leaders instead of war victims, rape survivors and orphans, and then blaming them for this country's shit.